Hello, it's Tim from Drive Tribe here. I've just been to Codemasters HQ to play the new Grid game, so I can tell all of you lovely people exactly what you can expect from it when it lands in your living room this October. Initial impressions of the game are promising, and it's one of those rare racing games that can make you laugh out loud. Here are 5 reasons why I think you should get a bit excited about the new Grid. Handling. If you played one of the earlier Grid games, Grids 1 and 2 specifically, then chances are you'll remember them as being superficially beautiful games, but with a handling model that owed more to some horrible nightmare than driving reality. The cars just didn't feel right, to the extent that it made the games quite hard to actually enjoy. Happily, after 3 hours playing a work-in-progress build of Grid 2019, I can confirm that the cars feel pretty damn good, and like leagues ahead of the previous Grid games. The general feeling you get is of cars that grip as you'd expect them to on hot slicks. They cling to the track, and you get a decent sense of how much traction you have remaining as you drive quickly through a corner, so you kind of get that on the edge sort of feel. Push too hard and you'll either understeer or oversteer, and it's kind of up to you to deal with it if you've got all the assists turned off. And with ABS traction control and stability control turned all the way down, you really have to be careful how you enter and exit turns. It's not going to have you exploring the limits of grip like a full-on race sim, but you still need to be careful to make sure the car's balanced through a corner, unless you want to go all Maldonado on it. Every car within one of the 6 car classes in Grid feels totally distinct. The high-grip GT3 race cars dare you to go as fast as you can around corners while sticking to a very specific racing line, whereas stock cars and muscle cars can be slid around wherever you want with total abandon. And the R32 Skyline, which is awesome, can pull dainty little 4-wheel drifts out of turns. Absolute chaos. Grid has been designed to recreate the chaos and unpredictability that you get from real-life motorsport. The developers have really gone out their way to make sure that every race leaves you with a story to tell. Whether it's the time that your bonnet finally detached and left you blind in the Paddock Hill bend at Brands Hatch, or when 3 AI cars took each other out in the last bend, leaving you to take top step on the podium. All of those things happened to me when I was playing the game, and I wanted to tell everyone about it. From my early impressions, it's clear that Codemasters have done everything in their power to get away from that kind of sterile, samey feeling you can get from a single-player race in Gran Turismo Sport or Forza Motorsport. You get the sense that the AI drivers really are racing each other, and you'll see them oversteer, understeer, spin, rub, crash, and generally act like real human idiots that you see online in racing games. All new for Grid is the Nemesis system. Use another car to slow yourself down or generally bash them too many times and they'll become your nemesis, and they get a little red icon above them. This means they'll do everything in their power to beat you to the checkered flag, including a bit of cheeky nudging and also just kind of leaning on you in a corner, nudging you out wide. Yeah, you'll see the AI turn into absolute arseholes when you do this, when you trigger them. This new Nemesis system will also translate into multiplayer as well, giving you extra points for beating your nemesis. So if someone twats you off at the first corner, you'll get double point if you win and beat them. Choreography. No, Grid doesn't feature kind of customizable dance routines, but what it does have is a behind-the-scenes choreographer that manages all of the kind of chaos as it unfolds in the race. This choreography system ensures that every race has its own, "oh my god, did you see that?" sort of moments that you want to tell your mates about. And as well as making sure the AI doesn't always have it their way, a handful of computer-controlled drivers will get a skills boost. The thinking being that we all have good days and bad days behind the wheel, so why not add digital friends? Codemasters have designed the career mode so that you don't actually have to finish all 104 events to progress to the final showdown. And you certainly don't have to win every race, which must be music to the ears of casual gamers and anyone who's got a baby on their lap while they're trying to play. Hello. The idea is that you can be just as satisfied salvaging 10th place after a crash as you are winning by 30 seconds. The devs reckon that the fun is in the battles you have on the track and the tales you can tell after a race, rather than just ploughing through and getting gold on every single race. Looking at you, Forza. During our playthrough, there were certainly lots of moments where we spent ages trying to stick a clean pass on an AI driver, and it felt so satisfying making the most of a slip-up by the AI, or being the only car to dodge a spun opponent. It's not a sim, and it's not an arcade game. Grid sits in a slightly unusual spot in the world of racing games because it's clearly a motorsport game, but one that's actually relatively easy to pick up for 10 minutes while your pizza's in the oven. The devs have made a big point about striking a balance between sim and arcade, and they reckon it covers a more sim-like end of the arcade to sim continuum, if that makes sense. Contact isn't encouraged, but it's not really discouraged either, and you won't be getting black flagged for outbreaking yourself and turning an AI opponent into an Armco lasagna. You will get the odd warning though for exceeding track limits and really taking the piss. If you're into your sims, you'll probably find it a bit simplistic, but the kind of chaos and unpredictability will still stick a smile on your face, and you'll probably find something to enjoy in it. And for that reason alone, hardcore simmers out there, I'm looking at you, should probably give it a go. Details. Lovely, lovely details. Despite their handling foibles, you can't argue that the old Grid games weren't beautiful or packed with details, and this new iteration really keeps up the theme. One thing I noticed on my playthrough, which unfortunately I couldn't capture to show you, were kind of trails of the dirt on the tarmac where other cars had gone off the road and then dragged the mud back on. It's most noticeable at Brands Hatch, where you could really see where on the previous lap that the AI had a massive smash, 3 cars had gone off at Druids, and then they dragged all the mud back on. It was really cool to see. You'll also start to hear knocking and rubbing noises as well in the longer races as your car gets more and more beaten up. And eventually the panels will fall off and fly off, but you'll get a little audible warning of that beforehand.